I know you all expect to leave at 3:30, but to be courteous to our presenter, who sponsored our food today, if she goes a little past 3:30, would we please oblige her and continue to allow her to keep your attention? So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to bring Stephanie up to introduce our speaker for today.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'm going to point out one thing that John talked about in your packet. And I just want to let you know that if you lived in Fort Atkinson, which isn't very far away, right? The local DMV is open from 8:15 to 4:30 on the second and fourth Thursday of the month. That means between now and the November election, people have 3 days, September 25th, October 9th, and October 23rd to get an ID. 3 days. So, we're kind of lucky. And just as you ask people if they're eligible for food stamps, you certainly want to ask them if they're capable of meeting the requirements to vote as a citizen of this country. So, please, everybody, thank you. You're in for a treat. Well, you had some treats tonight. Major treat, you're going to get the cherry on top of that sundae. You are going to hear from an amazing orator and a learned member of our community, Gina Green Harris. Gina is the director of the Milwaukee office of the Wisconsin Alzheimer's Institute, which is part of the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and Public Health. I can tell you that Gina and her program, which provides outreach, education, and support specifically to folks in the African American and Hispanic and other underserved communities in this county. I can tell you that there were people who tried to do this before Gina Green Harris got this job. There were people who really thought that they could come here from Madison and carry out this program. And you know what? They couldn't. They didn't. Because they didn't know this community. They didn't know our citizens. They didn't know all of us and our many, many, many differences and our many, many, many talents. But Gina Green Harris did. And she and her staff are so successful and so renowned in this state that it is our total, complete privilege and luck to have her with us today. So please help me in welcoming her.
Myself and my team. Take a look at your printout. You're going to hate me for this. Everyone has a colored dot at the top of their printout. And for the sake of just cultural inclusion, we're going to change seats today, folks. So if you have a red dot, please stand up. All right. I want you to stand in a group because we're going to all sit together. All of you who have red dots, stand in the back. If you have a yellow dot, I need you to stand up. I know. It's okay. We're going to all find tables. In fact, we're going to make this work. Don't move so slow because Janet asked you guys to be confident, huh? Yellow dots coming this corner here, real quick. Yellow dots. we do. Excellent. All of you are great. Here's what I have a quick question for. Before I ask you to introduce, I want each member from the group to introduce someone that you talk to. So we're going to have, from each group, 2 people are going to talk. Figure out who that is. Who's excited? I know somebody wants to jump up and have a microphone moment. But I want to ask you this question. How is this different than your normal introduction that you usually do?
You didn't say your name.
I'm sorry?
You didn't say our name.
You didn't say your name. What else?
You didn't say where you work.
Didn't say where you work. What else?
Or where we live.
Or where you live. What else?
Our age.
Or your age? Okay. Yeah. You didn't say where you work. You didn't say your age. You didn't talk about where you live, right? What did you really have the opportunity to do? To talk, right? You had the opportunity to really find out about an individual and who they really are. Oftentimes, what? We overlook that opportunity, don't we? So most times when they say, we're going to do an icebreaker, we're going to do an introduction, what's the first thing they ask you? Your and where you? Exactly. And what's your profession? What's your role? But when we're talking about getting to know someone culturally and really focusing on cultural things, it goes beyond that, right? Because those are surface things. Am I right about that? But we want to get to know who the real person is. So as we look at what we're going to do today, we're going to focus just briefly. And by the way, I have 100 slides. I'm just kidding. I don't have 100 slides. But I have 100 hours of talk. And we won't get to that. So we're gonna just try to get a little conversation. And this is scratching the surface. Hopefully you'll like me enough to ask me to come back and do some more with you. But before we get, I want to start with this group over here. Who wants to introduce yourselves? Somebody. Okay, you don't make me pick you guys. Who wants to do an introduction really quick? No? All right, I'll pick somebody. Yes. Using this form, give an introduction of yourself. A cultural introduction. Yes. and go back to your original chairs. And as you do that, I'm going to ask you real quickly, take a look at the screen. If you are from the Native American community, please stand. For those of you who are seated, I would like to introduce you to your new aging population. Give them a round of applause. These are the folks. I didn't say sit yet. They keep standing, keep standing. Now, I'm not telling you that you're not as white folks or as Caucasian folks. Can I just be Gina today? Yeah. You don't love me or not like me. It doesn't matter. I'm just Gina. So, the reality is that by 2050, people of majority population now, or Caucasian population, will constitute a smaller population of the agers. Okay? I'm not telling you that you're not aging, but what I want you to get a really good glimpse at today is that these people that are standing from these cultures, these ethnicities and populations, this is who we're going to be serving, folks. This is who we're going to be working with. These are the families we're going to have to talk to. These are the loved ones we're going to have to get to know. Good, bad, or ugly, it's going to be this way. And so what I want you to take a good look at is that not everybody's standing, but everybody will age. So these are the folks I want you to start getting to be aware and understand who they are and where they're coming from. Is that all right? We're going to talk about how we're going to do that. You may take your seats. Everybody okay? Oh, I'm sorry. If you're a Caucasian, please stand. Now, and everybody else stand with the Caucasian population too. You know why? Because we're all inclusive and we're all aging together. I give yourself a round of applause. I didn't forget that. We can sit. At least you'll be awake and get your exercise. For those of you who are wearing fit trim bracelets and dollars, you're moving. So what is culture anyway? And why is culture important? So culture is something that is shared of a value, belief, traditions, and that guides certain folks and how we do business. It's basically who we are and what makes us up for what we typically do. So I want you to understand that your culture is defined by what you know. So you've grown into your culture, you were born into your culture, you were raised by your culture. And that really impacts we're very closed-minded oftentimes, or we have one view, and that is simply our own view. It's kind of like when you were in your parents' home growing up, whose view counted the most? Your parents, right? Because they held the first strings, they held all the strings. Let me just lay it out there, right? And so you have to line up with what your parents taught you. What I want to encourage you is that even after you moved out, guess what? That didn't go away. And even when you were now moving into your own families, we did the same. So culture actually repeats itself because of what we learn and how we learn. We continue to learn through repetitive actions and activities, all right? So, we know that culture is the glue that holds our group and our community together. Now, as we grow and we learn more about mixed cultures, right? We learn more about our Hispanic brothers and sisters, our Indian brothers and sisters, whoever we're learning, our native, we begin to expand our culture. Now, you can only do that if you really are launching yourself out. If you only work in a mixed setting and you don't live in a mixed setting, that might mean you are not becoming culturally inclusive, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So, I'm going to skip that because of time, but I want to do some fun with words real quick, and I've got an activity that I want to run through about culture. Fun with words. Check it out. I'm going to say day, and someone else, after I say day, you yell out the first word that comes to mind, all right? So if I say day, what will you say? All right. See, you see how that works? Say it. I say day, you say? All right. Somebody said light, somebody said sunshine, somebody said word, day, word. Oh, Jesus. What? Oh, you heard me. Anyway, day, word, somebody else yell something else out. Daydream. Anything else? Daylight, day break, day turn, day, all those days, right? Notice they came from different places, all right? Great, day. How about night? Night turn, night light. Who said nightcap? I ain't going there now. Georgia, no. Somebody said night train, I haven't said it Georgia, but we could. Night train. You guys get where I'm going, aren't you? Huh? Now we say night, then we say ice. Tell me about ice. Oh, God, you guys like ice. Let me see. One at a time. Raise your hand. Ice. Great. Ice Cube. Oh, Ice Cube. The singer? He's a nice, handsome brother. I like Ice Cube. He's an ice. Yes, ma'am. Like, you had your hand up. I know. She's like, I follow the instructions. Icebreaker. All right. So, yes, ma'am, Pat. Ice Tea. I like him too. He's kind of cute too. Oh, and I got what's all of that got Ice Tea. Yes, ma'am. Ice who? Oh, yes, very good. I appreciate that one. Now, any other ice? Skate. Here's the deal, folks. How many variations of that word, or how many add-ons can we give to those words? Lots, right? Yes, ma'am. You were going to say something? Oh, lots. I thought you were raising your hand. See how communication is so important? That's why I don't wear glasses. I just saw hands waving. That's very cultural. We're going to talk about that. So, reality is, I say iced tea, you say ice cube. The reality is, I say daylight, you say daybreak. Neither of it is wrong, but we have different recalls because of our cultural differences. So where am I going with this, and what's my whole point? My whole point is that as we look at who we're serving, and I just gave you a bird's eye view of who's aging, you're going to find that the communication or the thoughts of how folks put things in context are very different. They may not understand the migration. They may not understand what happened 20 years ago and why you don't trust the system. They may not understand what you believe and what your values are. So what we have to do again is open ourselves up, because there are many solutions and there's many variations of how we view aging for one. So you can't base what you believe aging should look like on what I believe aging should look like. What we have to do instead is come together collectively so that we benefit both parties as we age. Now, let me put this in context. With you as a service provider, what you have to do is become educated around different cultures and how they age. For instance, you may age isolated or you may care to live alone. There are some cultures that really believe in intergenerational living. So you're going to go to the home, there's going to be 4 or 5 generations there. It doesn't mean they're poor. It doesn't mean they're undereducated. It does not mean anything, quite honestly, except they like to live together. And so what you have to do is throw out your thoughts of, well, those just poor folks, they just cannot live by themselves. That's not true. You have to understand that if you ask me a question on a questionnaire, for instance, you remember, somebody said iced tea. You were talking about a drink. I could be totally talking about the actor. We have to understand and put things in context. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, are you nodding your heads? Because I don't really know. Great. So I do have an activity that I want you to do really quick again. I am so not apologizing for this one. But it's going to be a little different. This one is going to be putting words in cultural context. And what I'm going to do is me and Steph are going to pass out some papers. You don't have to get up, but what I want you to do is partner with someone at your table to discuss these next words that I'm going to put on the board. I'm going to ask you to take 2 minutes to do this. And I want to put these cultural words in context. And then we're going to come back and talk about them really quick. Now, the reason why I think this is important to do is because just like we have fun with the words of ice and tea and all that kind of stuff, there are some words that we know we hear regularly that don't always feel so great, but they are fun words. And so we're going to talk about those, talk about them with your partners at your table, and then we're going to come back really quick together. All right, is my team moving? And you can start your dialogue now. I gave you paper so you can actually write down what your conversation is so that we can record it and then have dialogue about it. Now, again, these words are cultural context. And when we're talking about culture and race and all those things, we have to have an understanding of that some folks may not appreciate some words. Does that make sense? All right. It's coming around. Words that basically are talking about cultural things, right? I want you at your table to have a discussion of what you think when you hear those words. It could be, when I hear culture, I think of everybody has a culture. When I hear race, I think of black folks. I think of white folks. What do you